So, Elise, as you talk to those Pennsylvania voters, obviously here in these 2 weeks, big focus on John Fetterman versus Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz obviously has closed the gap in the last several weeks. He's leading among independents in most polling now. What did you find from the voters, the people who are going to decide which one of those two men will be senator?
Well, Dr. Oz has had a barrage of successful ads highlighting crime in Pennsylvania over the last month or so. And when I spoke to voters, they still, though, had lingering concerns about John Fetterman's health. We showed them Dasha Burns' interview with John Fetterman and got their reaction. And here's how swing voters responded.
It's hard to watch him speak because you want the words to flow. You want him to be able to have that ease of communication. I don't have a problem with the fact that he needs closed captioning. I think that way for him, and if he becomes my representative, I'd want him to be clear as to what the other party was saying. So if he needs that assistance now, I think that it's a genuine ability to work through a disability that he's having today. Will he need it next month, 6 months, forever? I don't know.
The one thing that I got to say that you did say is you don't know if he's going to need that 6 months from now or the rest of his life, and neither do we, and neither do his doctors at this point.
Correct.
That's the sad part, and that's why I think somebody should have stepped in and said, hey, this just isn't the right time, John. In a year, in 6 years from now, and believe me, I'm not saying anything for them. I think them parading him out there is a sore eye for the Democratic Party.
Sometimes you're not choosing between like your favorite thing ever and something else. But is that a concern? Absolutely. I hope that that's the only thing affected by his brain. And I think it would be comforting to have a doctor say, we've tested him. If there was even a way to measure that, like this is where his brain was affected and it's not going to affect his ability to, participate in. But even then, like it's so late in the process that like who else did a third? I don't know. Like my issue is one time I did vote third party, but then I didn't even show up on the Pennsylvania numbers of and I was like, dang it, I wanted to show that I was voting for this other guy, And so I think like in my dream world, everybody would have a chance, but since I feel like we don't, then, and I'm not a one, I don't remember what you called it, but like, I'm only caring about abortion. Like I definitely have lots of issues and, but I think that because of how the political climate is right now and with, people overrunning the Capitol. Like, I feel like I'm leaning more towards wanting to find balance or people that are not pro-Trump. So, like, for me, that's kind of the way I go. So I guess, like, I'd probably still vote for him, but am I, like, feeling great about it? Do I have concerns? Absolutely.
I mean, that was my thing, too. Like, I definitely am born and raised, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, but the state and of a whole. And I think it's important to know your constituents and know your state and to know everything about it. But a senator's there for 6 years, whereas a representative's there for 2 years. And like, that's a terrible thing that they have to run every 2 years. They haven't even learned anything yet and they're running again. And I think that's crazy.
Well, so what about the scenario that his health does get worse? And
put his wife
that's
in.
the thing you're there
What
for
would
6 years.
happen if they do put his wife in?
That's my concern. I, having had my own paralysis and like they had to see if I had a stroke, like this thought of he can get better, that's what I don't know. Because strokes are not like a cold. They affect your brain. And so that's where, like, that isn't my opinion, just to say, like, I'm not aligning with everything that's being said.
So, Elise, I noticed that some of the people that were expressing concerns about Fetterman were also voters yesterday we heard from who talked about how abortion was like a single issue vote for them. So, again, these aren't Republicans. These are swing voters and Democrats also that are saying they have real concerns about John Fetterman's health.
It's a tricky race, Joe, because while these swing voters that we spoke to, they may not be that enthusiastic about Dr. Oz, and they call him a carpetbagger. They still are not completely settled with the question of John Fetterman's health and sending him off for a 6-year term in the Senate. And they have empathy. It's not that they don't want to give him a chance, but at the same time, this is their moment to question credentials for a really important office, and they're doing that just like they should.